I'm going to try to put up some comments from these people in China, and some of these are really new and fresh. So I'm not going to read all these comments, but uh, I prepared this for another article, and what happened here was a US based organization created GTV, which was going to be a channel that could help people report on the CCP. And it started back in the early days of the pandemic. And people were actually at that time reporting what the CCP was doing, hiding the information, weaponizing the virus. And so the Chinese Communist Party worked really hard. They influenced people in the US. They even have some prominent US law firms on the dole with them. And my articles explain more of that. But they actually suppressed information that people from within China were trying to get to us that could have saved, I want to say, millions of lives if and maybe this whole thing could have been stopped. But let me read you some of their testimonials around, because then the Chinese Communist government went after people for investing in this GTV platform. My wife was taken away from her workplace by the national security officer of my hometown and taken across the province. The national security officer for my hometown urged me to request a refund from this investment. The local village committee provoked my family relationship and intimidated my child, which led to the child not coming home even on vacation, which made me feel very painful. I was questioned by the local National Security Bureau on December 16, 2020, and was forced to send emails to the SEC, that's the U.S. agency, NYS, J.P. Morgan, and 5 other departments. In January 2021, to report Mr. Guo, who was behind creating this, and request a refund. This sergeant called my principal at my wife's school and basically said, "Send your husband down to make a statement." Officers came to my home at noon and took me to the police station for interrogation. At first, I did not confess. Then I was brought into the interrogation room, and they showed me the records of my money transfers to this fund. I was detained overnight and wrote a letter of guarantee and took a video the next day saying that I was scammed, and was released that next afternoon. So they bullied and threatened people into making these false confessions. Now I do want to read this whole one, because this is amazing. And think about what our J6 people went through. And believe me, I don't have some of the stories yet, but people were jailed. People in the US who have spoken out about this have had the CCP contact them and say, you either stay silent about this, or we're going to imprison your relatives here in China. People have been, quote unquote, disappeared. So it's really pretty bad. But let me read this real quick here. I realized the purpose of the police's visit after I answered the phone. I deleted all the foreign chat and video apps and pictures from my phone ASAP. So the CCP has a firewall within China, but some people have been able to break through that. The next day, 3 police officers came to my workplace and conducted a series of questioning and investigation. Asked if I had bought Gcoin, and stressed that buying Gcoin is to support foreign anti-China organizations, and asked me about the source of the information and investment motive. They asked me if I knew Guo Wengi, which is another name for Miles Guo, the channels to buy the coins, and the contact information, so on. I answered. Now, this is where this person was deceiving the authorities and trying to act as if he was an innocent victim. My greediness and wanting to get rich. I answered, due to my greediness and wanting to get rich, and I saw the information from an investment group on my phone, and now the group cannot be found. It might be a scam. I was determined not to reveal any information about the whistleblowers movement and Mr. Guo. So Miles Guo is part of this huge whistleblowers movement. I mean, there's like 500 million people supporting this. People in China are sick and tired of this oppressive regime. Those are my words. So let me get back to the quote. One of the police officers checked my phone, and he insisted on taking my phone back to the bureau to restore the data, because he wanted to look at what had been deleted. I kept apologizing and, quote, thanking the party and the government for saving me from being lost, and thanking the police uncles for their sincere guidance. Obviously an act he was putting on. Finally, I signed and put my fingerprints on the interrogation documents, and I was repeatedly warned not to send money to these foreign anti-Chinese organizations. They said if I got caught again, they would arrest me directly. The whole process took about 3 hours. So they invaded this person's home for 3 hours. Search and seizure. We have we have a Bill of Rights that prevents that, amendments, but it's being broken, as it is here in China. When they came to my house the second time, they were very rude, rummaging through my stuff. They took me to the Public Security Bureau Network Control Office and asked me to sign the documents they prepared again. They threatened me that if they caught me again, I would be locked up and detained. The second time, they confiscated my phone for half a month. So this other person down below, I won't read that whole quote, but Miles Guo did not force anyone to invest. They were all voluntary. They told me to write a letter of repentance. Now, they went to these U.S. They went to these U.S. agencies, and there is on record that we've had Americans within the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, within the DOJ, within other entities that were paid off. And one of the things they did was they paid people to lobby the high government officials, and even someone to go to Donald Trump at the time he was president and try to get Mr. Guo extradited. And there's good and bad in the DOJ. It's actually the DOJ who's convicted some of these people. It's espionage. We literally have spies in the U.S. Some are of Chinese nationality, and some are in our levels of government. And you compare this to J6, and it's very true. There's infiltration of our government, and it needs to end.